all the way from down under, Australia. We have Andrew. And where are you from, Andrew?
Sydney, mate. Sydney.
Pipe Lounge. And we're gonna get into that as well. And I just want to say before we get started, to everybody listening and watching, go give us a like, a subscribe, a little notification, whatever it is. It really helps the channel. And we get to interview great guests, just like Andrew, to talk about his fantastic new product, which we've got over here. And so what we do on the Trade Legends podcast, thank you very much for coming all the way over from Australia. And the daughter's just arrived just behind you, so she'd probably be asleep in a minute with me talking. But we like to get guests on, and we like to talk about how you came to be with where you are now with this, which looks like a great product for anybody in the HVAC industry. But give us your sort of entry into the trades. I presume you were a trade yourself, you were working in HVAC yourself, and then you've gone into this. Just take us back to sort of how you got started. And, you know, it doesn't have to be, I was 3 years old and, you know, I picked up a piece of copper and I always knew I was destined to be in.
No, it was nothing like that, mate.
HVAC. So just give us a story for everybody listening and watching to.
Yeah, I suppose. Started off not knowing which road to go down. Watching friends doing some work, touching on air conditioning, refrigeration. Thought, yep, give it a go. Fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Ran, I suppose, whilst I was doing an apprenticeship, doing cheeky little foreign orders.
Yeah. I mean, in Australia, how long is a apprenticeship? Because they vary, obviously, from
country to country.
Yeah.
Well, we're 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years at a college, 1 day a week, and then you do your fourth year. I suppose now, if you get through and you're competent at your third, you can be credited for that time, and you come out a tradie at the end of that.
Yeah.
Licensing follows on as it does here in the UK, but then you're out on your own. You work for someone or you work for yourself. But to be fair, it is a really good trade. People say refrigeration, air conditioning. Most people, funny enough, when you be out there doing what we do, people in that domestic world, they'd always come back and think we're white good repairmen and we'd be fixing fridges and washing machines. But yeah, far be it that people walk around and realise that big shopping centres, you know, airports, stadiums have air conditioning that keeps them comfortable.
Yeah.
So as soon as I finished my trade, I started my own business back in '89.
Yeah.
So nearly on my fourth decade now.
Yeah.
I love the trade. I couldn't.
Has it changed much over the years? Because I mean, like obviously, until we got bought by Aspen, who were sponsoring the show, I mean, HVAC wasn't something that I really ever thought about.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's every year now. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger. You know, they fly over to AHR over in America. It's a massive show. You know, obviously Australia, you sort of semi-expect it because the climate's slightly different.
Yeah.
But I mean, have you noticed changes over the years with the industry, or is it just?
It's always been an important back of house, low key trade. People don't realise it's there. And again, the general people, the general population thinks a fridge is a fridge, and they really don't realise that things get much bigger than that. And when, you know, we get apprentices to come through our office, we tell them our trade is basically from anything from a small fridge to it could be a blast freezer out in the ocean, mothership that stays out there 6 months and keeps the, you know, seafood frozen until it gets back to the ports and sends it out to all of us. And then on the other side, you've got the comfort cooling that goes from, you know, the little split system in your one that's up there, and all the way to, like I said before, like you could be doing an airport, a stadium, a shopping centre. It's all, people just don't realise, but they're walking around in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good trade. I would say it's probably one of the better trades. It covers. You're
going to start an argument now. The electricians.
I know, I know. They're flying a rainbow flag at the moment, I think. But anyway, our trade covers a bit of plumbing, a bit of electrical. You know, very technical in the electrical side, very technical in the plumbing side. So it covers a lot of bases. Sure, we don't go right into it as the hydraulic guys do or the electricians do, but we cover a lot of stuff on in three camps, and the refrigeration and the air conditioning part in the middle just sits really nicely, but doesn't get the credit, or we don't really fly the flag high enough, but it's a good trade. And again, like nearly 4 decades, mate, and it feels like yesterday for me. It really does. So
what would you say then? Because a lot of people that listen and watch the podcast, might be just starting out on their sort of trade journey, or they might have just finished their apprenticeship and be thinking about going self-employed. I mean, what would you, to achieve 4 decades in any business is an achievement in itself. What would you say is the secret to longevity in the industry or any trade business? Because I don't think like many people even get past the first couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely tricky, and I had a lot of support at the start. But again, working 15-hour days, like I think when I first started, I was running 3 jobs, doing my apprenticeship, working at a service station, selling gas or selling petrol, and then doing little love jobs on the side in my trade and picking up some work that way. So kept me busy. But if someone was, it really just, if you've got an interest in something, it really it doesn't feel like a job.
Work,
And from that point, you're reaping rewards. And if you do like it and you apply yourself like that 110%, you'll be rewarded. There's no doubt about it. Directly, indirectly, you'll reap rewards out of it. And like I said, if it's not financial reward out of it, you'll feel better about yourself when you're in the traffic driving home that you've done a good job and you're ready for the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, with obviously the majority of your jobs are commercial. Did you ever touch on domestic AC or anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. Started on smaller things, like I said earlier, family members and an extended family. All of a sudden, they thought, Andrew's a fridge mechanic and fixes washing machines. Did a lot of domestic stuff, and then just ventured into from the service side of things. We ended up in a commercial construction, and installation. We started pulling away from sheet metal and the complete gamut of our trade, and started specialising in the plumbing side, the pipework side of that. So when you get to that level, it's you can only specialise in the one part of it. It's too difficult to try to cover the whole gamut.
I think like sort of heating and ventilation, AC, refrigeration. I don't think people realise, like the food supply, because over in Australia it's Woolies and Coles, isn't it, and stuff like that. Just how big some of these places are, and they need to keep all the produce fresh. They just don't realise that it's everywhere within everything that you use at some point. I mean, we're sat here in the office and we've got the cassette just up there, and it's like,
keeping us comfortable.
Yeah. I just and again, I never realised myself, even though I've been selling to electricians, plumbers, and all sorts of trades, just how much we rely on this type of stuff.
100%, Alex. I suppose back on what you said with the young guys, just if you got an inkling and you want to have a go, just have a go. Don't think about it. Just put yourself out there. What the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work.
Because most people in England are, I'm sure if you said which trade are you going to, it's an electrician or a plumber.
Yeah.
But I see that this is growing every single year, and more people having it installed. Even domestically now, it's a lot of new build houses. They're starting to put this stuff in there.
True. I think the climate's that's changing. Everyone is everyone agrees that it's getting
Global
warmer and
warming's
warmer.
good for you.
It's definitely something's changing. It could be a big cycle, but in everything moves so fast now that comfort cooling, it's there. We need it driving in the cars. Buildings are closed, multi-storey buildings. You can't open the windows, so you have to have the ventilation there. You need to be keeping everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's definitely starting to ramp up. The term HVAC. And I'm not taking it from the refrigeration guys, because we have a line in the sand there as well. The refrigeration guys take care of the freezers and the cold rooms, and the HVAC guys are more on the comfort cooling side of things. But it's definitely on the up, 100%. And I think young guys that don't realise, they should just look at it and jump on, have a go, see what they do.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody that is listening or watching with, they want to come into HVAC? What could you sort of prepare them for? What would you say to prepare them to come into the industry? Because every single one's going to be different.
I would say just try. The young guys that we get coming through our workplace, we just say just come and have a go. Come for a week or two with our guys. You can get out the site, have a look. You'll see the environment that we work in. We'll get to see what you're like, and usually matches are made that way. But it gives them the opportunity to try and just find their way, find their road. And if they find their road, they'll excel in it and they'll have fun. They'll get to the, they'll go through the stages of their lives and be fulfilled really at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that a lot of apprentices struggle with here, which I don't know whether it's similar in Australia, is they'll get qualified, but then they can't find anybody that will give them work. Very, very difficult, and it's very niche. So I feel like because there's more electricians here, people tend to go, oh, well, it's probably easier to get a job at the end when I've qualified. I mean, I presume you take on apprentices.
Alex, you've just given me a real open door entry to a plug there. I said, if there's any young guys that have come out of their trade and want to have a go in Australia, they can give me a call and they can come down.
Do you know how many people I'm going to get in the comments now and say, can I get the guy's number so I can...
We are struggling to find people. Again, people want to have a go, but it's a special trade and you just got to be that person that fits in well.
Because the one thing that I sort of champion over here, which I don't think schools do enough, is there's people that are academic and they could go through the whole school life and they just seem to be able to read a book and regurgitate stuff and they're great at it. But then there's a big crop of people where they're not academic, they're good with these, but then there's nothing, there's no vocational stuff for them to go and do to learn skilled trades at school. And I feel like if we sort of split it academic and then vocational subjects and then push people into colleges where they can go and learn, you'd get more people in because you're getting them younger to enjoy learning about plumbing, electrics or whatever it is. Yeah. But we really struggle here. There's a skill shortage, which I'm sure is...
It's the same back home, yeah. It's the same, definitely. I mean, I have putting the onus on the kids. A good question for me is, do they take the bins out for mum and dad? Do they fix their push bike, the chain when it comes off their push bike?
Are they on their phone all the time?
Yeah, it's a telltale of whether or not they're looking down the barrel of a trade or not, and they're definitely out there. This new age technology has changed that landscape, but there's still a lot of guys, and we've got a lot of 2 young guys that have just come on board this year with us, and they're gold. The boys are gold. You can see the way they move, the way they grab their tools, the way they they put a hammer drill up onto the soffit, and the hammer drill's not riding them; they're actually doing the work and doing what they need to do. But you can tell, you can tell a guy that's cut out for a trade or not. I mean. I'll digress. We had one young guy that came to us as a first year. He was a 98 ATAR, which is up there in the end of school numbers, and he wanted a trade. And he came. I saw his resume, and I said, mate, what are you doing here? Like, you really don't need to be here, mate. You're probably smarter than all of us put together. And he said, I just want to do a trade. And anyway, Mum wanted him to do what he wanted, and his dad wanted him to go to university. Anyway, off he went to uni for a couple of weeks, and then ended up back on our doorstep. And he was a larrikin. We ended up giving him an apprenticeship. Good kid, well liked, learnt well. He ran pipe the way we do and could still do it. At the tail end of that trade, he started an electrical trade, and we helped him into that as well. And then at the tail end of that, he went and finished his degree in engineering. So there's a dual trade and a degree. And now he's, he walked into one of the Tier 1 builders' offices for a services position. And I received a call from the services manager of that Tier 1 builder, and it was a guy that I had known from a long time ago. And I was like, Kent, he said, Andrew, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. He said, look, I've got a guy by the name of Benny Hilder in my office, and he's looking for a job. And I said, Kent, do yourself a favour, go and tell everyone else in that waiting room to go home and just give that boy the job, because he's good. He's a good kid, And it goes back to what I was just saying. If you put in that 110%, it's going to come back. It doesn't matter how, but it'll always come back. But you just got to find your way, find your own road, enjoy what you do, and it's not work. It's just a good way to get through your life.
Yeah. Well, the reason I sort of wanted to take you back and talk about these things and ask you if the industry's changed, because you've obviously got the brand here, and you must have seen over the years that people were installing certain things. Things have always been done a certain way. And when you're on those jobs all the time and you're looking at things and you think, actually, how could I make that neater, or how could I do that quicker? When did this sort of come along, this idea? How long ago were you sort of there on jobs thinking, I could make that process better? Where did that sort of come
Alex,
along?
this little plumbing bracket that brings me here. The reason I'm here in the UK for is we just really stumbled on it. You know, in the refrigeration side of things, the boys run their pipe and their services, run them in a different way to the HVAC guys. The HVAC guys carry so much more pipe on it. You know, we talk a 50-story tower. There's a lot of insulated tube that goes into those buildings. And the status quo is we just sit it straight on channel. Like it's cost prohibitive to do it in certain ways. Consultants would spec it to be done in certain ways, but they'd never get it over the line because the projects would just cost so much money. But then what happened not so long ago, we were asked to, we're guilty of doing the same sort of work. But a couple of years back, we were asked to do some public works jobs in our capital city, Canberra. And the client wanted us to protect the insulation with whatever means we could find. And the products that were out there that we used were just a pain in the arse. They really were. They never
Slow you down.
They slowed the boys down. I was driving. I'd go down to the site to see what's going on. It was a 3-hour drive from Sydney, and you get there and it's say like, what's going on, boys?
What have you done?
You're burning hours. You know, they were just seriously, and they'd look at me and they say these things are just, you know, they're falling off the strut. We need to get down off the scissors, move them over, put them back up. Do all these things, you know, screw them in so they wouldn't. Then the mathematics would come in because it would put them out on their pipe bending, and the gaps wouldn't just work with them. And so, you know, same client wanted to do. We got it over the line, you know, with a big hole in my pocket. But we went to another project, same client. It was a correctional facility in Sydney, and they wanted the same thing. And I said, look, how about we do it the conventional old way? And I'll run around at the tail end of the job and we'll site measure every bracket. It was a small floor plate, probably about 80 brackets, 80 supports. So we site measured every one of those and come up with something that looks like this little bracket here out of sheet metal. Yeah. At the tail end of that, the builder was happy, consultant signed off, everyone was cool with it, but then our men were putting their arms up high and just cutting their arms on the sharp edges. Yeah. And I thought, you know, it's got to be. There's got to be something here. So what I did, at the end, I thought, you know what, the end of town that we're in, the scale of the work that we do, you know, started wondering what the costs would be, and did some cost analysis. And then I thought, you know what, there might be a 3-year payback for me on investing in some tooling for our business, our contracting business. And so
was this the first time that you were ever getting asked to do them in a certain
pretty much. I mean, you see it in specifications all the time, but, you know, everyone just wipe it because it's just way too expensive, you know, time consuming, and each component costs too much.
I mean, just out of curiosity, the previous versions of this, or what other people had come up with before, how long would one of those take you to install if you were just installing one?
Comparing what we do now to what we did before, and including other protective measures, we're down about 20% of the time. Right. And probably more, like, you know, I'll talk conservatively, but at least 1/5 of the time doing it the way we do now with this product. Yeah. So there's big time saving. Excuse me. So what we did, we had a design guy come in, English guy, champion guy, semi-retired, who's now retired, but he still answers my calls and will come and help me tweak some things. And he and I, we sat there for 9 months just doing some designs and 3D printing and giving them to our guys out our 20-man crew, and they'd all come back with little you know, quirks. Can you open it up here? And, you know, can you put some slots in? How about a hole in the middle? You know, some channeling slot there that we can use it for strut. And so that took about 9 months, and then, you know, the boys stopped bitching. I'd ask them more questions. They say, mate, these things, they're working. It's pretty good. And then I thought, you know what, we've got some payback on that tooling, the scale of the work, like I said earlier. So let's do it. We did it and started punching them out for our own business. Really, we had no intention of commercialising the product. It was really just a tool that we used to help us do our work faster, more productive, obviously, efficiently, and giving it that edge. We were protecting, doing what they've always wanted us to do,
I mean, how do you then go about changing perceptions when people have done something a particular type of way? Because this isn't a slight on trades, this is human nature. If you're doing something a particular way, it's quicker.
Yeah.
It might not be as tidy, but it's less time consuming. How do you convince somebody to, because looking at the pictures that you showed me before, it looks way better. From a, general standpoint, it just looks better. It looks a neater job.
That was just the bonus kickback from the whole scheme, was the aesthetic value that we're getting from that. We weren't planning on anything like that. It was just really to go out there and protect the insulation. And once we started punching them out, we'd use them on some projects, and 12 months in, consultants and builders and customers would look at them and say, mate, can you sell these things to your competitors, and so they can get them on the other jobs, because obviously we weren't on the other sites. Everyone was noticing this, and it was a different alternative to the status quo. Obviously we said no, but they're ours, and we just kept running as we did. And then, then literally comments coming back from consultants more specifically saying that this is a really good product and it keeps them happy, at the point where they're starting to specify.
Yeah, once people start specifying something.
Correct. And with that, that sort of led me to, again, no intention of commercialising until one of our tube reps from a major wholesaler in Australia came into the office, and he saw them on my desk, and he asked me where I was getting them from. Obviously, other contractors were screaming at him, saying, like,
"That's for me to know. For you never to find out."
It was a funny time, but other contractors are asking, the same guy, Steve, where you get these pipe lounges? I need these pipe lounges because everyone's asking me to put them up. And so when he saw them on my desk, he asked where I was getting them from. He thought I might have been getting them from a wholesaler competitor. And I said, well, Steve, we make them. And he said, bullshit. He said, come next door. I said, come and I'll show you. Yeah. And ever since then, it was only 11 months ago, and literally.
So initially, how were you making them? Were they 3D printed? What?
No, 3D prints was all for that R&D purpose, and then we just invested in some tooling, brought the tooling into Australia. Yeah. We've got a contract.
Plastic injection mold.
Yeah, plastic injection, and contract business is making them for us, not so far from our office. Yeah. And it just makes him he's happy now, and a lot happier than he was when I first walked in. He thought, oh, here's this guy.
What the hell is this?
This guy's going to be a pain in the ass. But so it's managed to get over the line with a lot of people, and like I said, our tube rep, once he got me into their head office, it was literally 2 weeks later we were selling them nationally, and from that point on, literally the last 10 months has been quite a journey for me in travelling the globe. Yeah. Pushing into the US, pushing into the UK and Europe, and speaking to contractors. Only yesterday I stopped in at some some quite major contracting businesses, and then also just driving along the road in my van, seeing another AC guy pulling out of his driveway, and I've hit the brakes and reverse back and say, hey mate, like, have a look at this, I'll show you this, and hand him over a box sample and say, mate, have a go and see how you go. But at the end of the day, just getting that general feedback from the contractors, and not one of them has said anything bad. Yeah. In fact, said, when they show them photos of what we do, conventionally, as opposed to what we do now, and they're going, it's just chalk and cheese. And the next question is, where can we get them from? And obviously, since now we've partnered up with Aspen, that's going to help get the product out to the market much quicker, which is always been my intention. To get it out to the people as to other contractors like ourselves, to throw it up there, and just they will walk away impressed with their work for the aesthetic value, but how easy it is and how much time they save.
I mean, when you're doing commercial units now, like compared to how they used to be, especially the old unit that we were in around the corner, the way that, even I was talking about the data cabling earlier, everything is just so neat now. And it makes it easier then when there is an issue to come back to somewhere to then fix something if it goes wrong. I mean, if you're looking at the US, because I don't know too much about how they install stuff, is it very similar in the US, how everything's fitted, as to the UK, as to Australia, or is there different things where you may have to change the design or adapt it slightly? Or
Alex, what I've found, like, you'll always find differences. in different areas. Even in the UK, you'll probably find it's different in the north than it is in the south.
Yeah.
Excuse me again, but generally speaking, the photos that I've shown people in the States and in Europe and in the UK of the work that we used to do and the work that we do now, it's the same. We're getting the same reactions. We're all like we're all singing the same. We're all connected, but we all speak different accents or different languages. So yeah, I think we're all sort of connected the same way, and the only way to do it was the way we were doing it. But yeah, this is, you know, from all the feedback I've been getting, it's quite a unique product. And I've been going around pretty much giving people a chance and, you know, have a crack with that and see what you like. If you don't like it, fine, but if you like it, and I'm sure you will, because my crew of 20, if they didn't like these things, they would be in the warehouse collecting dust, and they're so not now. When it comes to channel, you know, we were using in excess of 200 6-metre lengths a month, and we've got it down to about 50 lengths per year now. So it's like quite a considerable saving on metal, time saving, and again, given that premium finish, helping the contractor.
Well, you win more work.
One leg up on the programs. The construction industry now is getting so much harder on the program, just on the fact of a program. The builders expect you to have things done like a magician. So you've got to be one step ahead, thinking, how can I get this done quicker? I mean, time is money, as they say, but it really is. If you can find efficient ways without compromise and keeping premium.
And it looks better.
And it looks better. As always, I've got one of my boys always finishes off with it looks better, and it looks better, he says, and it does. And people like can't argue with me. Or don't argue. I'm looking for people to give me some negative feedback, you know, but there's always, you know.
You showed me the pictures of where it starts to fall away before these were being used. I mean, like, just explain to somebody who's doing it that way previously, like the things that go wrong and how that will eradicate it.
Yeah, well, what like I said earlier, you know, because we're in this installation end of town, we don't get to see what happens to the service, you know, in 6 months or in 12 months or, you know, a few years later. But what actually happens when you sit that insulated tube or pipe on something that doesn't have much surface area, like, you know, I won't name names of different types of support systems, but, you know, if there's not much surface area, the insulation's going to compress. And when it compresses, gravity takes place, vibration. Eventually that insulation starts to break down, and then after time you'll have copper touching another dissimilar metal, and everyone in our trade would know dissimilar metals will corrode, and then eventually you'll get that gas leak, and then your customers calling up, and, you know, it's a breakdown. So on one hand, it's a good thing, and it's a revenue maker for a service industry, but at the same time,
you're getting less maintenance.
And
that's a good thing, because it frees you up to do
more things.
Yeah. And you don't get called back to a job.
Correct.
Because something's potentially gone wrong.
Correct. And I mean, we found. I mean, another good example was one of the South Australia. Whilst I'm trying to promote this product, we're doing some, you know, industry golf days and industry association evenings. And when I was in South Australia, there was, I would say, there would have been at least 70 contractors came past the hole we were sponsoring, and just about every one of them mentioned this one particular guy that was in government. I won't name him, but he was in charge of infrastructure, building products in the infrastructure at the government level, and his name came up just about every group that came through to have a tea or off the tee. And I managed to, you know, the picture of this guy that I had, like, this guy must be a monster. Like, he was, you know, everyone was saying, if you can't, you won't get it past this guy, blah, blah, blah.
He was about 4'6".
No, he wasn't. But what was surprising, he was an ex-Friggy.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had a meeting set up, and it was only about a month ago. And John, he sat down with me, and we spoke about the product. I showed him the product. He had a hydraulic engineer with him, and they both looked at each other and thought, you know, I was just about to swear then, sorry mate, but they both basically said, this is possibly a game changer.
I mean,
very impressed.
What's it like? Because I mean, I've run my own business, but when you When you first start out with the product, your guys will think it's good, and then you go, will anybody else think it's good?
Yeah.
And then a few other people think it's good. And you think, oh, I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
And then somebody will go, I don't see the point in it. So you go back a few spaces and you think, is it any good? What's it like when you get somebody that's in that position, you know, just for anybody listening and watching, and they actually go, do you know what, that's a game changer, you know, like, because the feeling I used to get when I used to go in somewhere and somebody go, this is the, you know, you're on top of the world. I mean,
oh, it's definitely a roller coaster, mate. Like I've got to say, definitely, and I'm sure you'll agree there. You get the highs and lows, and you know you're hanging on phone calls, and sometimes a phone call will come and it's a negative one, and next thing
you get a lot of them.
Yeah, and the next thing you do, you get someone that just picks it up again and thinks, and they see the value in what you're trying to get across it. But seriously, mate, like hand on my heart, if I trust my guys and our contracting business, it's a well-known business in Sydney for what we do. There's not many people that do what we do, and I'm not just saying that lightly. My boys walk away from their projects quite proud and will rarely leave something, you know, leave a mistake somewhere. If they didn't like these things, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So, you know, full credit to my team. And
you got the guinea pigs and tested it, tested it.
Pretty much, pretty much. And again, we did not go out to commercialise. It wasn't the intent.
I think those are the better ideas, though.
Yeah,
it's where it's a solution for you, but then other people quite like that.
Yeah,
and then you're growing organically. You're not taking it, mass marketing it, and then it.
No, 100%. And I've always said too, like, you know, sometimes we'll be talking about those highs and lows, and I'll be at home with my wife and we'll have a chat, and I'll say, you know what, at the end of the day, if this commercial path doesn't work, I still feel like a winner because we intentionally made all our initial tooling for our own business.
It could become a standardised, especially with the government backing, it could become a standardised.
Yeah, hopefully, that's a good path. Yeah, we're trying. We're
especially on certain jobs, if it's it's in, I don't know, it's critical infrastructure or something like that, and you need it. It might become a standardised.
Yeah, hopefully, we can see value. Yeah, you can see value there. Like, funny enough, I was on the trip that I was heading towards Adelaide. I'd just finished the trip in the States, and I had to land in Melbourne and over to Adelaide for that meeting with the government guy. And I sat next to a guy. This is a little digression here, but we do some tunnelling work or work on tunnels in the infrastructure sector with our trade. And I sat next to a guy, and we started talking one for another, and he asked what I was doing, and this goes back to the grassroots of what we talked about. But he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a fridge mechanic by trade, blah blah." And he said, "I've got a farm. I've got this really old school American fridge out in the front, and I thought he's going to try and stitch me up for a service call now." Another one of those love jobs that took me back 30 years, and I thought I'm going to Melbourne to do a service call on this fridge. And he said, we used to use it for just put our eggs and our vegetables in there for the neighbours, that whatever we'd have left, the neighbours would come and get them. But we have this council clean-up thing that happens twice a year where you can put stuff out the front and council will come past and take all the rubbish away, saves you having to chuck it away illegally or take it to the tip yourself. Yeah. And he said the bastards come and took my fridge. They thought it was rubbish on the street. So obviously he was upset with that. We started to talk, and this guy was, a pretty heavy dude in the tunnelling world on the planet, and he started talking to me about. I told him about the product I was we'd come up with, and we started saying, and he looked at it and he said, "This is probably a really good product in the tunnelling world. It's not metal, it won't rust, and
it's not conductive."
So you get that sort of feedback, and you think, you know what, when I find some time, he's the guy that I'll channel to and see if he can point me in the right direction of the people that can get it in front of and see what they say, because it's definitely proven to be something I didn't think it would be, but it's definitely, creating some waves. And again, like yesterday, I drove around, I think I went around the M25 twice yesterday.
It's my worst nightmare, though.
Yeah, it's a tough road. It's a much bigger ring road than our one in Sydney, let me tell you. But I travelled up.
If you survived that, you've done well.
Yeah, and saw some different types of trades guys, wholesalers, and everyone I spoke to had nothing but positive feedback, so it was pretty good.
So the product currently is available in Australia. When is it likely to come here, Richie's going to look and go, don't give any film dates.
It's coming very soon now.
Because people listening and watching will obviously come through and say, where can I buy it? Where can I find more information? You know, we'll put all the details in the comments for YouTube and stuff like that for people to find them. When do you think potentially is likely? Would it be this year, or it's going to be this?
I'm quite confident it'll be this year.
I mean, one thing which is always the big test is like it could come here and it takes off like a rocket. Are you prepared for the orders? That's the one. Sometimes it's good to be out of stock because it.
That's a good question. No problem there, mate. No problem.
He's like, no worries, mate.
Just send me a PO. We'll work out.
I'll figure it out. Because that's one thing when we started to grow was
scale.
Actually, I can't make stuff quick enough.
Scale, yeah.
So that's always. But you cross these bridges when you come to.
You do, yeah.
Hopefully, it's going to be available this year. You're going to be next week because this won't go out until after installer. But you will be at the installer show.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So what I'll probably do is I'll try and get a little clip out. If you can send me the footage before we go to install, or if you can maybe help me just a little snippet of saying that you're going to be at installer show, and people can come and. Are you going to have some samples there for people?
Yeah, there'll be opportunity. Yeah, samples for sure, but there'll also be opportunity for contractors to just have a look if they're interested, if they're on the fence, they're give or take. If they scan their details in, bound to send them a box to try out, and if they can have a go, all they need to do is try once, and I'm sure they'll be coming back and looking for the product in the branches. So, and
also, will you have after the show, if people haven't been able to get a sample, will you have some that we could send out to people just as a?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got stuff in transit as we speak. We've got containers on the sea coming. Not going through the Strait of Hormuz. Or whatever it's called, that's exactly the way it is somehow. So
around the Cape of the Horn of Africa, or whatever it is.
They'll be on their way, and our job behind here is to just.
Yeah. So any HVAC engineers that are listening or watching, if you want to grab some to test, and we'll give some away maybe on the podcast so that people can actually see what they're like and install some themselves. But you're going to be at installer show.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you've got in the pipeline after this that you're thinking about where you've, because you might have been looking at other things where you can make something similar, or is there any other ideas that you're harbouring, or you don't want to give them away just yet?
That's exactly right there, mate. So, there's other things coming off this support. But yeah, we're still playing with the idea, so we don't want to say too much until we get it right. And again, it's proven itself. We did well with testing this over the 12-month period or 9-month period to a point where our guys still aren't asking for a little improvement or a change in anything to that now. It's been 3 years now and they're still happy with it the way it is. So definitely looking at different products that will complement this one. But, just until we get that right, we won't pull it out yet. Yeah, but
good stuff. So we're round about this time with the show is we sort of go into it's almost like a Jerry Springer final thought where you can pass on some knowledge, because one thing that I feel is fantastic talking to you is you've got 40 years worth of experience. I don't want to put years on you because you don't look as if you've got 40 years worth of experience.
Thanks, mate.
But people that come on here, I always get them to try and drop some knowledge or some advice or something they wish they'd done at the start, which they only realise 10 years down the line, because so many people watch and they don't know where to get started. They don't know whether to go into HVAC or they want to go into electrical, and they sort of, I feel like a lot of people don't pass on as much knowledge anymore as what they used to. So if you've got anything where it's some advice or some knowledge or something similar to that, what would you suggest to somebody that's just starting out there?
Mate, as I said before, don't be scared. Just have a go. And if you don't like something, move on. Don't waste. Don't be afraid.
I feel like it's talking to you here. I'm going to go into a job and I'm going to be in it for the rest of my life. Yeah,
no, she's good. I've got no doubt that when she finds what she wants to do, she will. She'll nail it. But
just don't be scared. Then
don't be scared. Have a go. Don't talk yourself out of it. Mums, dads, they'll try to direct you and steer you in a direction, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, find your own road, make sure you're happy doing it. And if you're not, not only not wasting the time of the people, your peers and the people you're working for, but you're really only wasting your own time. So just get out there and have a go. When it comes to 40 years of knowledge, I really believe in being open with sharing information. I'm only as good as my first year apprentice, and when we're busy doing stuff, and first year might see something abstractly in a situation that we can't see because we're looking at it from a different angle. It's like just listening to each other and learning from each other. It doesn't matter age and experience. For me, it's the same thing.
You never stop learning.
And respecting each other at the same time. But the young ones that are fair income and they see that, they naturally pick that up. They will be, forces. They will be forces when they get into their 20s, 30s, 40s, and they'll be running their own things or working for somebody else. But again, passing on information. You need to do that. It's silly taking the information away.
Because obviously over here we have the scenario where some people are so busy they don't want to take on an apprentice, and I feel like that's part of the reason why we have a skill shortage. And I get it, because it's a lot of time to invest, it's money to invest, and you say time is money. But I also feel that because of that, people aren't getting the knowledge passed on to apprentices that are coming through, or people that want to get into a trade. There might be people that are sat behind a desk at 22 thinking, I've got to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
What can I do that's different? And I always feel like when we get guests on like you that have been in the industry for a good amount of time, it's always good to get, your opinion on things and things that you would have done different, just to encourage people to come into the trades, because actually you can have a fantastic career.
Oh, 100%.
In the trade.
Again, this trade that I've chosen, it's carried me many places. We've done so many things with it's given me freedom to do so much. It's refrigeration, air conditioning. You can travel the world and you don't have to speak the same language. You could be in a country you don't know how to speak, and you'll end up in a bar, and you'll reach over at the beer tap and you'll touch it, and it's not cold, and next thing you know, you'll be behind the bar under the bench tweaking something, and then you'll be drinking free beers for the next week, because you just did something for public, and it'll carry you so far. I mean, we've done so much. Our businesses has done things. We've gone away on we travel, our team, we travel them to the snow once a year so they can bond away. Occasionally we'll go away. We've actually done some water projects in Vanuatu. We've taken off and sent off kilometres of pipe and carried water from springs into villages just to give them something different.
Just for all the English people, Vanuatu is like an island off the coast of
Yeah, it's just little things that you can learn from, and it's just keeping a variety and not staying on one pattern, one road, and just looking for little things that are left and right of what you do. They're all lessons.
It takes you to some great places. Even here, I remember abseiling down off a roof in a Asda logistics warehouse with the head torch on. I was abseiling off this warehouse, massive.
Yeah, right.
Asda's like a Woolies or a Coles,
yep.
And it's a big, long warehouse, and it was over the top of Easter eggs. So for Easter Sunday, we have all the Easter eggs over here.
Yep.
It was row upon row upon row, as far as the eye could see, of like chocolate. And they were like, yeah, we need to just abseil down, because we go up and we fix all the racking, because it was automated, robotic with the racking, and it'd take pallets off.
Yeah.
And he was like, when I'm up here, it's really dark because we're right at the top, and I've got to make sure this head torch reaches all the way over here. And I was like, all right, so you're going up there? He goes, no, we're both going up there. The little things like that you we supplied Mercedes, the Formula One racing team, so I got to go to Mercedes factory.
Yeah, nice.
All from lights.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, you never know where you're going to go with
100%, mate.
Particular job.
You just got to look for it. And again, being interested in what you were doing is probably what got you to that point. Because if you were just on a train, just doing the same thing, monotonously down the road, that opportunity may have been there and you never would have seen it. It would have just went straight past and you just didn't pick up on it, But you got to be open. You got to be looking all the time for stuff, and you just be interested. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning and trying to reaching over, putting your boots on, and you're going, fuck. It's like, another day. It's like, you're obviously not where you
In the
need to
right
be.
job,
Yeah, you're not where you need to be. Just I've I'll go back in 37 years. I reckon I've sacked about 4 people.
You're a nice boss.
in the others that have gone have been a conversation. Again, HR would hate me, and there's no HR. I'm the HR in our world. It's a small business. But when you talk to people that are in HR, they will think like, mate, you can't talk to people like that. But it's a simple thing. I just talk to them like they're my kids, and we're at the coffee machine. I say, mate, you're not looking happy, son. What's going on? Something? No, I'm all right. It's all good. It's all good. And then a week later, I say, you sure you're all right? Because they're not who they used to be. They're not performing like they used to. And then you give them that one and you say, look, are you sure this is what you want? Every day you're here on this planet, mate.
I feel like I'm keeping you captive.
Yeah, and you're wasting your time. Just find something you really want to do. Have a think about it, And those other ones that were going down that gauntlet of being, walked out the door, have come back and said, Andrew, I listened to what you said. I thought about what you said. You know what? I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go and try something. And a few of those guys have come back. A few haven't. They've found their road, and good for them. I see them in the pub. We can shake their hand and we have a yarn. The ones that come back are better for it because it's just them just trying to find their way. But you just got to be open and work together with people and get the most out of people. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So the last question for you then is, 5 years from now, ideal scenario, where do you see the business, your actual business that you've got, and this new business? Where would you ideally like to be, apart from retired and
mate, there's a good question.
On the Whitsundays or somewhere like that?
No, I'd rather.
What would you?
I'll be counting cattle, mate. I'll be counting cows.
What's an ideal scenario? Where do you see it going in the future?
Well, mate, I've got long-term employees. I'd like to see guys continue my business. I'd still be in that business in the background, just helping out, mentoring, passing on knowledge when they needed it, because a lot of guys, if there's a lot of older guys listening, as you get older, you get a little crankier. And I've always been a patient guy. I've always smiled and waved at the customers. Yep, no worries, we'll get it sorted.
But
now it's like, if it doesn't make sense, I'm calling it. What are you talking about? And it's bad for business, So I've got younger guys with energy coming through.
Yeah.
I'd like nothing more than to see our Ventrix, our business Ventrix, continue for another 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And go leaps and bounds. It's worthy of it. It has a reputation, and to see that happen, I'd like nothing more for that to happen. On the pipe lounge thing,
because what will you do if that really takes off, and you're 24/7 having to sort of steer that?
I'll be driving a tractor. No joke. That's my end game, mate. I'd like to get down and be on a farm and just take it easy, start slowing up. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you wanted to touch on, or from your side?
No, I don't think so. I think I've known Andrew for a little while now, and he's a very driven individual, and he's determined to make this a success. So in Aspen, we're just here to help the pipe lounge business flourish and get him on that farm as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think it definitely working.
Retiring.
Yeah. No,
which would be a sad time.
Retire the grumpy old man.
You can drive a tractor and still sell brackets. So,
that's true.
So,
he'd be on the phone
Yeah. I'm already doing that, and so people ring me and I'm in the tractor and they're saying, I said, you cannot believe the traffic that I'm in at the moment.
You holding up the traffic in the
No, not on the road. I'm not on the road. They think I'm on the road, but anyway.
Yeah.
But seriously, if we get this thing out to a market, I've got no doubt that there's an untapped market out there that isn't doing anything.
It's something that you didn't know you needed, but you need.
Yeah, and now that it's out there, people, if we can get it with the help of the guys, Rich and his team, they've got arms and legs everywhere, and the idea is to get it to the contractors as quickly as we can, spread it, you know, like wildfire, and then I think I'm really confident the contractors will like it, and there'll be very few that don't. You know, we got we've got people doing social media, which has come left field for me. But yeah, there's
it all under the same
if they just go pipe lounge HVAC on whichever farm feeds or platforms they're looking at, they should find some things. But there's one guy in particular that come up. He says he was dead against, you know, his client wanted him to use these pipe lounges on his project, and he was, as the contractor said, no, these things cost too much money, but they actually don't. And he just saw it and thought, wow, this is going to cost too much. But they're not as.
He's been looking at your pictures.
They're not as expensive as as people think.
The Gucci in the sky. That's what he's looking at.
But he says I was dead against these things, and he goes, now I'm a changed man. He goes, they're my go-to. He's stopped using Channel or Strut, and he's gone to these things now. And he says, yeah, and it didn't take long. It took one box of these things, and off he went. And it's a bit of a Pied Piper story, but not many won't go back to it.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'll finish up by saying thank you very much for spending time here, because obviously your daughter's over with you. I'm sure you've got loads of stuff to go and do. You're with Rich, you've got probably stuff to discuss with him. So big thank you for coming on.
No trouble.
And it's nice to have somebody come on from a different region talking about things that actually are very similar, or different challenges that we've got compared to you, or things that are the same. So thank you very much for spending the time with me this afternoon.
No trouble, Alex. I really appreciate it.